Welcome to the Pint Glass Football Podcast.
What's up, PGF Nation? We are back on this episode. We are previewing three of the biggest NFL games and three of the biggest college football games this weekend and making betting picks for each one. I'm your host, Brad Fowler. Here with me, as always, my co-host, Alex Higdon. Alex, let's kick this off. I want to start with the big NFC matchup here. Bucs, Eagles. A lot of concerns here for Tampa Bay as far as injury. I know they've got some offensive line issues. The secondary's banged up. Mike Evans, it sounds like he could be questionable. Chris Godwin might not be available. But look, I still have faith in this team because Baker has proven in the past he can win games without his top weapons. And Emeka Egbuka, we talked about him last week. He's been really emerging as a breakout rookie this year. And when I look at this Eagles team, they've got some injury concerns as well. I think they've got some injuries at the cornerback position. Looks like their number 2, number 3 corners might be down in this game. And if you just look at the recent history, look, the Bucs have really dominated this matchup. They've won 6 of the last 7 matchups versus the Eagles. They've eliminated the Eagles in the playoffs twice over the past 4 seasons. Bucs getting 3.5 points. You know I love that half point, Alex. We know how big that is in betting. I'm taking the Bucs in this game, and I love the 3.5.
I'm going to go in the opposite direction. We don't know if Tristan Wirfs is going to play. On the other side, Nolan Smith is set to be out 3 to 4 weeks, so the pass rush may not be as intensified, but the Bucs are missing interior linemen. One out for the year, one that's been hobbled ever since the Houston game. And where's the strength of the Eagles defense? Pass rush coming from Jordan Davis, who's playing at an enormous pace, obviously in a contract year. So I think there's going to be they're going to cause some problems there. And perhaps I wouldn't even be surprised, a prop bet if there is one, for Baker to throw an interception. But I guess one good thing is that Chris Godwin was a full participation in practice.
All right, let's go to Ravens-Chiefs. This is a huge game, not just because these teams are viewed as AFC contenders, but because they both started the season slow here. So this is a big win because one of these teams is going to fall to 1-3. And we know if you look at the odds, when you fall to 1-3, the odds of making the playoffs really start to go down. So this is a huge, huge win early in the season here for these teams. Ravens, we know, coming off of a loss to Detroit. The defense looks a little shaky. Now, typically a team coming off of a loss, that's generally when you want to back a team because you usually kind of see a bounce back, especially from a good team like the Ravens. Chiefs, of course, coming off of the win over the Giants. Not a very impressive win, though. And actually, I didn't think they looked very good in that game at all. But it was a bad Giants team, so they were kind of able to get away with not playing a very good football game. Mahomes, I'm concerned with this offensive line once again. He was running for his life out there. But the Ravens' defense looks a little shaky. What it boils down to for me, Alex, is historically speaking, Mahomes' track record is incredible as an underdog. And they're actually a short home dog in this matchup, under 3 points. These are the kind of games that Reed and Mahomes almost always tend to pull out. So I think this is going to be a good game. I think it should be a close game. I would not be shocked at all if the Ravens pull this off. I think they have the better roster, but it's really hard to bet against the Chiefs at home here. And this game just feels like one of those games where the Chiefs are going to drag this into the mud, make it an ugly, kind of grinded out game, because that's really how they play nowadays. And I think they find a way to win a close game. Spagnuolo's defense seems to always improve as the season goes on. So I expect them to show up to play here. Give me the Chiefs plus 2.5 at home. It's rare to get Mahomes as a home dog, so I'm taking advantage of that.
Yeah, you should take advantage of it both ways, money line as well, because I have the Chiefs all the way. Xavier Worthy is back, a full practice, and Mahomes over the past 2 games has found a little bit of a rhythm with, the cast-off and Tyquan Thornton. You throw those 2 guys out there with that amount of speed, that spells open running lanes for me and open middle of field for Travis Kelce to get busy. So I'm going to take the Chiefs here. I would take the money line, and I will also bet with the points as well, because I just don't believe the way Unfortunately, Zach Orr is struggling once again early in the season. The way this defense is looking with the names, and I can say only as of right now, just the names that are back there, it doesn't look pretty. And if you're talking about a pass rush, theirs is non-existent. Metabuke is still more than likely going to be out, and if he isn't, he's going to be limited. So that means what? Patrick Mahomes with a lot of time with those two speedsters getting down the field, attacking a rookie Malachi Starks. I look for big plays, and I look for open running lanes in this game, and I don't think it's going to be close. I'll take the Chiefs by 10.
Wow. All right. Got the blowout win. I like it. Here's a blowout win for you. Packers, Cowboys. Look, I'm going to keep this short and sweet here. Cowboys have too many injuries. It's piling up for them. Green Bay on the road. I get it. I don't care. I got Packers here big time. Packers got embarrassed last week against the Browns. They're going to be fired up in this game. You know Micah Parsons is going to be fired up to play this game. To me, this is a roster mismatch. This is a coaching mismatch. Packers, easy cover. I know it's 6.5 points. That's a lot of points. I don't care. I think they cover by 10 or more.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you there. But hey, what's going on with the Cowboys? CJ Gardner-Johnson was cut. Justin Simmons still sitting out there. And your two safeties, Donovan Wilson, who's actually a linebacker, Malachi Hooker, are terrible. There's no reason you should not be, Justin Simmons should not have been signed just the way you signed Jadeveon Clowney. And there's no reason you weren't the first ones on the phone with CJ Gardner-Johnson, who is now available after getting cut by the Texans yesterday, at least to add some type of pop to that defensive backfield. But you're absolutely right. I'm taking Green Bay all the way. Look for the pin and pull, which is the devastating run play that Green Bay was using in the playoffs a few years ago. They're going to use it again because the only way to get Jordan Love off his rock is to blitz. And if they decide to blitz, he's going to tear them apart. So this is a complete roster mismatch. And also on the other side, Tyler Booker is out. So look for Rashawn Gary as well as Micah Parsons, who we know is going to be motivated. This will probably be a game, Brad, that he's probably going to get a full 60 snaps in terms of just letting him go crazy and have a revenge game.
All right, let's switch over to college football. We got 3 big-time top 25 matchups. Let's start with Oregon at Penn State. Key matchup here I'm looking at, Alex, is Oregon's offensive line, which right now is the best in the nation in pass protection. Penn State, 7th best in the country in pass rush win rate. Whoever wins that battle, I think likely wins this game. Now, granted, here's the key, though. Neither one of these teams have been tested. So this is the first big game for both these teams. They've played a lot of teams that they just quite frankly overmatch. So it's really going to be interesting kind of who shows up here. Both teams are loaded, though. You've got a ton of NFL players on both sides of the ball. I mean, these rosters are really good. And if you look at the national title odds right now, Alex, in Vegas, these two teams are second and third in the national championship title odds, only behind Ohio State, which is kind of interesting. 3 Big Ten teams as the favorites to win the national title. No SEC team at the top. I think that's fascinating here. But when I look at this Oregon team, very talented, very fast, but they're a much younger team than this Penn State team. If you remember, this Penn State team had a lot of guys come back this season with games like this in mind, with a Big Ten title in their sights, a national title in their sights. So this is a very experienced Penn State team going up against a younger Oregon team at home. So this is a big road test for Oregon. I think the run defense for Oregon is a little questionable, and that really worries me in this matchup because Penn State has a really strong run game. I think it could cause problems for Oregon. I think they're going to try to control the clock, control the time of possession. Now, James Franklin and Penn State, look, they typically don't win these type of games. They just don't. This is usually where they fold, is these big type of matchups. But I think they break through in this spot and get a big home win over Oregon. I'm going to take Penn State. I'm going to lay the 3.5 points.
And I'm going to go in the opposite direction for specifically what you said. James Franklin and Drew Allard, they just simply don't win these games. You're absolutely correct that Oregon is the younger team, but I'm going to take Dan Lanning and Dante Moore over James Franklin and Drew Allard here. I think that Oregon travels well in terms of just their team, not fans per se. But I think they're going to be ready. They're going to be focused. And James Franklin, there's going to be some point, and I say it will be in the third quarter, that we'll be talking about this game on Monday where we say he made this XYZ mistake in the third quarter that cost them the game.
All right. We got two big-time SEC matchups. Let's first start with LSU, Ole Miss. I can't wait to watch this one, Alex. To me, the storyline is Trinidad Chambliss. This guy has been on fire the last 2 weeks for Ole Miss. He came in, of course, the backup quarterback. And look, I think he's taking over this spot. I'm not sure we're going to see him on the bench the rest of the year because he is calm in the pocket. I love how he gets through his second and third reads and makes plays. And he also adds something to this offense that we didn't see prior, that designed run game and the scrambling ability to extend plays, I think adds another dimension to this Ole Miss offense. I think it's one of the most surprising breakout stories in college football this year. On the defensive side, I also like this particular matchup. Ole Miss ranks 23rd in quarterback pressure rate. And what's most impressive about it is they do it mostly without blitzing. And when you look at Garrett Nussmeier, look, talented quarterback, and he's a guy who can really pick you apart from a clean pocket. But if you look at his numbers when he's under pressure, he's not the same guy. He really struggles under pressure. So I think Ole Miss needs to win up front. I think they can win up front, and I think that's the difference in this game because LSU's got some offensive issues, which is so bizarre because this team finally figures it out on defense, and now we're seeing the offense take a step back so far this year. Now, maybe they get it going, but I think this is a tough spot to get it going, and I've just seen an over-reliance on Nussmeier so far this year, Alex, and the run game still not effective. It's a similar problem to what we saw last year. Offense just isn't clicking right now for LSU, and I think that's a problem. I like Ole Miss here laying the 1.5 points at home. I think they get a big-time win over LSU.
Yeah, I'm going to keep this one simple. Give me Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. I think Nussmeier is hurt. I think they're going to, like you said, they're going to win in the trenches. And I'm not going to trust Brian Kelly here to know what to do with a hurt Nussmeier to try and create an offense around somebody who's just playing through the string of injuries to try and get through the season to secure a draft spot.
All right, Georgia, Alabama, another big-time SEC matchup. Look, when I look at Georgia, the big issue I have with this team, with Kirby Smart, I can't remember a Georgia team that's ever lacked a pass rush, but they do not have a pass rush at all this year. Only 3 sacks so far this year. Not a single one of them has come from the defensive line. It's all been generated from blitzing. Now, look, they have a really strong run defense, but I think that lack of a pass rush means that Ty Simpson, the quarterback for Alabama, could have time to sit in the pocket and pick apart these zone coverages that I expect to see from Georgia. Because Ty Simpson, man, he's been lights out this year when he's throwing from a clean pocket. Really accurate, especially as an intermediate passer. When I look at Gunnar Stockton, look, I like what I saw from him in that Tennessee game. I think he's been really solid when he has time to throw, but he falls apart under pressure. If you look at his numbers when he's got time to throw versus when he's rushed, it is a completely different story. And Alabama's defense is the second best pressure rate in the country. And I think that Alabama's secondary in particular is going to give them problems. I like Alabama here in the upset. Give me Alabama plus 3.5 over the Bulldogs.
Yeah, this was a tough one for me. Even up until the moment now we're talking about it, I'm still struggling, but for the sake of the pod, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to take Georgia. And it's going to be because I think they're going to play it close the first half, and I'm going to trust Kirby Smart over killing the ball with second half adjustments, defensively and offensively, to squeak out a win here. Now, they may not cover, but on a money line bet, I'll take Georgia.
All right, guys, if you enjoyed the show, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any future episodes. But once again, I'm Brad Fowler. He's Alex Higdon. This is Pint Glass Football, and we'll catch you next time.
Thanks for listening to the Pint Glass Football Podcast. Be sure to subscribe and follow us on Twitter at PGFPOD.